My Double Life. Memoirs of Sarah Bernhardt. London, William Heinemann, 1907. Chapter 1. Childhood. My mother was fond of travelling. She would go from Spain to England, from London to Paris, from Paris to Berlin, and from there to Christiania. Then she would come back, embrace me, and set out again for Holland, her native country. She used to send my nurse clothing for herself and cakes for me. To one of my aunts she would write, "Look after little Sarah. I shall return in a month's time." A month later she would write to another of her sisters, "Go and see the child at her nurse's. I shall be back in a couple of weeks." My mother's age was 19. I was 3 years old, and my 2 aunts were 17 and 20 years of age. Another aunt was 15, and the eldest was 28, but the last one lived at Martinique and was the mother of 6 children. My grandmother was blind, my grandfather dead, and my father had been gone in China for the last 2 years. I have no idea why he had gone there. My youthful aunts always promised to come see me, but rarely kept their word. My nurse hailed from Brittany and lived near Camperley, in a little white house with a low thatched roof on which wild gillyflowers grew. That was the first flower which charmed my eyes as a child, and I have loved it ever since. Its leaves are heavy and sad-looking, and its petals are made of the setting sun. Brittany is a long way off, even in our epoch of velocity. In those days it was the end of the world. Fortunately my nurse was, it appears, a good, kind woman, and as her own child had died, she had only me to love. But she loved after the manner of poor people, when she had time. One day, as her husband was ill, she went into the field to help gather in potatoes. The over-damp soil was rotting them, and there was no time to be lost. She left me in charge of her husband, who was lying on his Breton bedstead, suffering from a bad attack of lumbago. The good woman had placed me in my high chair, and had been careful to put in the wooden peg which supported the narrow table for my toys. She threw a faggot in the grate, and said to me in Breton language, until the age of 4 I only understood Breton, "Be a good girl, Milk Blossom." That was my only name at the time. When she had gone, I tried to withdraw the wooden peg which she had taken so much trouble to put in place. Finally I succeeded in pushing aside the little rampart. I wanted to reach the ground, but, poor little me, I fell into the fire, which was burning joyfully. The screams of my foster father, who could not move, brought in some neighbors. I was thrown, all smoking, into a large pail of fresh milk. My aunts were informed of what had happened. They communicated the news to my mother, and for the next 4 days that quiet part of the country was ploughed by stage-coaches, which arrived in rapid succession. My aunts came from all parts of the world, and my mother, in the greatest alarm, hastened from Brussels with Baron Larrey, one of her friends, who was a young doctor just beginning to acquire celebrity, and a house surgeon whom Baron Larrey had brought with him. I have been told since that nothing was so painful to witness and yet so charming as my mother's despair. The doctor approved of the mask of butter, which was changed every 2 hours. Dear Baron Larrey! I often saw him afterwards, and now and again we shall meet him in the pages of my memoirs. He used to tell me in such charming fashion how those kind folks loved Milk Blossom, and he could never refrain from laughing at the thought of that butter. There was butter everywhere, he used to say, on the bedsteads, on the cupboards, on the chairs, on the tables, hanging up on nails in bladders. All the neighbors used to bring butter to make masks for Milk Blossom.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?